Hi boys and girls, today we're going to continue with our book Frindle by Andrew Clements, and today we're going to read chapter 7. And we left off yesterday with a very exciting chapter where we can kind of have an idea why the book is called Frindle. Remember that Nick came up with the idea of calling a pen a Frindle, and we left off yesterday where his friends and him made a promise, made an oath, and I'm going to reread the last paragraph of that chapter because remember, good readers always go back and reread. So they held up their right hands and read the oath that Nick had written out. And just a reminder, from this day on and forever, I will never use the word pen again. Instead, I will use the word Frindle, and I will do everything possible so others will too. And the 6 of them signed the oath with Nick's Frindle, and the plan would work. Thanks, Mrs. Granger. And so that's what we left off yesterday. And so today's chapter 7, is called Word Wars. See, Word Wars. Now, when I think of this title for chapter 7, I'm thinking about what happens when you have a war, right? When you have a war, there's fight. People are fighting, right? And so if this title is called Word Wars, I'm thinking, remember, this is called a pen, not a Frindle. But Nick has a plan for everybody to call this a Frindle. And so I think that's where Word Wars come from. I'm thinking, what are you thinking? The title sounds interesting. So let's begin chapter 7. School was perfect. School was the perfect place to launch a new word. And since this was a major historical event, Nick wanted it to begin exactly in the right class, 7th period language arts. It's very appropriate, right? Because remember, language arts has to do with words, vocabulary, spelling, grammar, and remember that Mrs. Granger says, remember her famous words, right? Remember that she says, who says dog means dog? You do. Who says cookie means cookie? You do, right? So this was the perfect class to start with. Nick raised his hand first thing after the bell rang and said, Mrs. Granger, I forgot my Frindle. Uh-oh, this is not good. I can tell already. As soon as the bell rang and he's in Mrs. Granger's class, he says, Mrs. Granger, I forgot my Frindle. Sitting 3 rows away, John blurted out, I have an extra one you can borrow, Nick. Then John made a big show of looking for something in his backpack. I think I have an extra Frindle. I told my mom to get me 3 or 4. I'm sure I had an extra Frindle in here yesterday, but I must have taken it. Wait, oh, here it is. And then John made a big show of throwing it over to Nick. So he got it and he threw it to Nick, throwing it over to Nick. And Nick missed it on purpose. Then he made a big show of finding it. You know what they're doing, right? Remember, they promised that they're going to make everybody say Frindle. Mrs. Granger and every kid in the class got the message loud and clear. That black plastic thing that Nick borrowed from John had a funny name. Well, it was a black pen, but I keep showing you my blue one. But so that black plastic thing that Nick borrowed from John had a funny name, a different name, a new name, Frindle. There was a lot of giggling But Mrs. Granger turned up the power in her eyes and swept the room into silence. You know, she just gave them the teacher look, right? And so the rest of the class went by according to plan, her plan. As everyone was leaving after class, Mrs. Granger said, "Nicholas, I'd like to have a word with you." And she emphasized the word word. Nick's mouth felt dry and he gulped, but his mind stayed clear. He walked up to her desk. "Yes, Mrs. Granger?" Like a little angel, like if nothing was wrong. He knew what he had done. And Mrs. Granger also knows. "Yes, Mrs. Granger?" "It's a funny idea, Nicholas, but I will not have my class disrupted again. Is that clear?" Her eyes were lit up, but it was mostly light, not much heat, which kind of tells me that she knows kind of what's happening, but she's not really mad at him. She's sort of proud of him, proud and mad, because it says her eyes were lit up, but it was mostly light, not much heat. So it means that her eyes show happiness and proudness of him, but not mad. Like she's not mad, but she still, wants to tell him that she's in charge. This is her classroom, and she's not going to have any funny business going around. "Idea? What idea?" asked Nick, and he tried to make his eyes as blank as possible. "What are you talking about? What did I do? Me? Nothing, "You know what I mean, Nicholas. I am talking about the performance that you and John gave at the start of the class today. I'm talking about this." And she held up her pen, an old maroon fountain pen with a blue cap. So it was a nice pen. It was an old maroon fountain pen with a blue cap. "I'm talking about this." "But I really didn't have a Frindle with me," said Nick. Oh. He's brave because she's telling him, stop with that funny business about calling this a Frindle. This is a pen. But Nick was brave and he says, "But I really didn't have a Frindle with me," said Nick. He was amazed at his own bravery. And hiding behind his glasses, Nick kept his eyes wide and blank, like he's pretending like, "Me? What did I do?" Mrs. Granger's eyes flashed and then narrowed, and her lips formed a thin, hard line, like, She was quiet for a few seconds, like, what are you up to? She was quiet for a few seconds, and then she said, "I see. Very well, then. Then I guess we have nothing more to discuss today, Nicholas. You may go." That was it. Super easy. She's like, "Okay. You want to play this game? Okay. That's very well. I guess we have nothing more to discuss today, Nicholas. You may go." "Thanks, Mrs. Granger," said Nick, and he grabbed his backpack and headed for the door. And when he was just stepping into the hallway, he said, "And I promise I won't ever forget my Frindle again. Bye." Wow. I can't believe him. That's the end of this chapter. This chapter is very, very, very short. But I want to read that last sentence again because it's such a good sentence that Andrew Clements writes here. He's so brave that when he leaves the classroom, when he was just stepping into the hallway, he said, "And I promise I won't ever forget my Frindle again. Bye." I bet Mrs. Granger's going like, Oh my God, right? Oh boy. So, like I said, this is a very, very short chapter, but it's a very important chapter, okay? Think for a moment about this chapter, chapter 7, wars, right? Pen versus Frindle. And I'm wondering about Mrs. Granger. Um, what is she gonna do about this? And then Nick and his friends, they decided that they were going to launch this new word in Mrs. Granger's classroom. And remember that Mrs. Granger, she's the one that says, who says dog means dog? You do. Who says cookie means cookie? And all of those things. And so, that's why they decided to bring this new word. And so this is so interesting. I really like the ending of this chapter. It's so good that I'm going to read it one last time. And when he was just stepping into the hallway, he said, "And I promise I won't ever forget my Frindle again. Bye." And so I'll say bye to you too, and I will see you tomorrow. And don't forget to answer the questions. And tomorrow we'll continue with chapter 8. Bye.